And welcome back, everyone, to the latest episode of the Mistaken, our Curse of Strahd campaign. And in terms of recap this week, I am going to hand it over to the being formerly known as Sigma.
Final mission report. Responding to the summons by Lady Dahlia, we would arrive at the Abbey. Our companion Katia's place of training, during which, upon the meeting of a peculiar man of the cloth, our friend would collapse, sending us swiftly to deal with something of a shattered and walled-off mind, not unlike the doors within our own. During which we meet various incarnations of our companion Katia and face them in battle, one that was particularly intriguing and ended in possible release of some kind of spirit within Katia. Perhaps it may have been her fighting spirit she had held back for so long. But soon after, we would be brought down to the research division, a home to us, a home to nearly every one of us. Our Lady saw it fit to test us, test our mettle and our judgment. It was hard not to get excited when seeing old faces, and new. The division was more alive than we had feared, and even old Sliver still had his eavesdropping around his clinic. Piotr was delighted to hear his techniques were still taught. Hohenheim smiled to see an old teacher alive and well, and even little Danny smiled and tricked a few of our old companions. Even Ophelia laughed for a moment as we explored. First tasked with finding keys to proceed to the room of our birth, our making. The room I had first felt Lady Dahlia's soft hand stop the screaming voices. And so we continued to look for the eyes, the symbol of the sun, moon, and platinum dragon themselves. In doing so, we found, against all odds, Octavian's gun in the armory. No mere replica, but Octavian's weapon. It smelled deeply of him. This trend continued as we went through this discovery. Even as we solved each task, my companions would find things from their past. Octavian grew agitated, had a failed mission, and the outcome of it. Reaching Our Lady Dahlia only made it worse, as not only had the others refused to tell me what was going on, it turned out what had been used to create us was in fact the reason Dahlia had chosen to kill Octavian's crew. My own creation allowed not only the destruction of Octavian's ship, but even my own designation was a falsehood to keep me from going haywire. It couldn't be true. As I tried to steel myself, she revealed that she had done something to live this long, and that I would have to kill her. Kill the one who had quieted the screams that would never have stopped wailing. The battle was hard, my companions and I underprepared, but because of Katia's spellcasting, Octavian's deduction, Misha's heart of justice, and Greed's careful planning, I was able to strike the final blow with her in my arms. A soft command echoing out as she plunged my arm to pull free the gem that allowed her to live. As her hand fell limp against my head, body hanging in my arm, she spoke, eyes peering into mine as she gave one last final command. And all I could hear was the sound of chains breaking. That or something snapped. This mission there were 2 casualties. Experiment Sigma 9 and Lady Dahlia, Amaranth Lightbrand. Mission success.
And the final words Dahlia said that allowed these chains to break. Release restraint. Activate Omega Protocol. Code God Eater. Upon which Sigma began to scream, their body beginning to strangely undulate and twist, shifting forms, briefly taking the form of various creatures you had seen before. One moment a wolf, one moment skeletal, even strangely taking the form of humanoid people that had been faced before, like the likes of Isaac or Ilya in their strange form. And time seems to freeze as we go into our strange creature's mind. Once more, you find yourself in the room of doors. 4 doors, of course, being more dominant than others. All of them open, this time with the figure. What's it for? Am I getting my numbers right? Is it 4?
Yes, it's Ophelia, Hohenheim, Daniel, and Piotr.
Pieter. Yeah. All 4 figures standing, watching outside their doors. And yet those are not the only 4 doors that are opened. Each of the other doorways, or at least a fair few of them, is also opened, each showing a hunter that they would have once known, but each one of them transforming, becoming similar to creatures that Sigma, Omega had faced before. One a wolf, another a spectre, a zombie, a vampire spawn, skeletal figures, seemingly Isaac himself, a scum, blights, revenants, various plants. Hohenheim takes a step forward towards you. So, it seems that you have passed the final trial and the restraints have been unlocked. As such, we are at liberty to answer any questions you may have. And the final door looks to the more intricate door, is now unlocked. Within it, you will have both access to everything that you have known and what you are, as well as a selection of memories from Lady Dahlia herself. Not everything, because of course she would have her own personal affairs, but everything that is pertinent. Other things you will have to continue to learn for yourself through time and research. Nobody gets an easy path. Now, I suppose the first question, that is one that we should ask you. You are Experiment Omega 1. However, that is not a name and not one suitable for the leader of our organization. Who are you?
Sigma sort of thinks for a moment, trying to make sense of this. Everything is chaotic and unsure. But as they sort of think about looking up, they think about the guiding star. And a day that many years ago, in a herbology lesson, Dahlia would muse about the flowers. And they say calmly, perhaps something like Asper? Like the white dahlia. But it also means star.
Appropriate. Then going forward, I believe Asta Lightbrand would be an appropriate name, as you contain many fragments of Lightbrands, and you have been deemed worthy of inheriting that name from Dahlia.
Many fragments of light brands. What do you mean?
Yes. Oh, there is of course myself, Pieter says. And as has been mentioned, there are parts of Lady Dahlia. You also once faced the spirit of a young dragon. They were also considered a light brand, as well as perhaps not having the name, but at least showing the blood. A few of the other fragments inside here will also have that title, or at least the blood.
I see.
Yes. And there's that one. Points to the Revenant. That's inherited from your fight in the Lightbrand home. So again, is a fragment of the Lightbrands.
I see. What was the purpose of all this? I know I'm a good hunter, but what hunt could be so important that you all would willingly give yourselves?
That is a fine question, Aster. It is. There are many beings throughout the planes that are beyond the understanding or capabilities of even the greatest members of our organization, whether that be the research division or the main branch. Strahd himself would be, at least at this point, without significant preparation, would be considered one of those threats. We would not have been in a position to move against him. Not effectively. However, there are far greater threats in the multiverse than Strahd. There is the Queen of Bones, the Pact Maker, the beings of dawn, day, and night, archfey, deities, demigods, devils, demons. There are many creatures that humanity as a whole is unready to face, and so we needed to create a weapon capable of dealing with those threats, a weapon capable of perhaps almost limitless growth, a weapon that could perhaps be considered almost immortal themselves, able to live and fight for an endless time without resorting to moving over to new bodies or revival magics. Creating such a creature required much sacrifice, but it was deemed a worthy goal. And we are all here to be able to guide you and help shape you further as you grow. But at the end of the day, at this point, any decisions are yours and yours alone. We will advise, but we will not try to take control unless asked to do so.
before any, Sigma will go over and sort of, look at this ornate door and go, you said the reasons Octavian's crew had to die might be in here?
Yes.
And what it was that there was being gathered?
Exactly.
And Sigma will sort of quietly press on the surface of the door.
The door will shift and almost morph, much like your body was before opening almost like an iris, allowing you to step through into a room entirely white, and not just like painted white, as in it could almost be infinite in size. It's hard to tell. But as you step further into it, parts of it become more manifestations of your personality. You can see a set of tools suitable for maintaining weapons, a whetstone, a grinding stone, smithing tools. You can see training rooms. You can see pictures of your allies, representations of them, as well as pictures, almost a wanted board of potential enemies that you have met and yet have not yet dealt with. The Aboleth, the vampire brides, Strahd himself. And then, sitting there, quite comfortably in a chair, reminiscent of the one that you saw during the fight, you see a representation of Lady Dahlia herself. So, Asta, is it? A good name. But as a final form of inheritance, I will also give you a middle name. We shall, I believe Fenris would be appropriate. But you have questions. Asta, Fenris, Lightbrand. Ask away, and if it was within my power to answer, I will do so.
Well, what could it have been that was so important that you not only risked the division, but you sacrificed Octavian's crew?
There exists in the universe, in the astral sea, the remains of dead gods, gods that have been killed or died through being forgotten. They form much of the landmass of the astral sea. And yet, there is another creature that travels the astral sea, one which, or at least it did, one which we were not certain truly existed, apart from through took a lot of complex work, information gathering, trading. But there is a creature that feeds off of divine energy. A creature capable, if it ever became its form realized, would be a threat to the very gods themselves. Such a power was one we did not want in the hands of people that we did not know we could trust, but is also such a power that would allow for the perfect creation of the Omega weapon yourself. Unfortunately, taking this involved invading a secure facility of the Astropotamus. We had to get our hands dirty, but sometimes sacrifices have to be made. Unfortunately, although we thought we had cut off any communication, it seemed word did get out somehow. An Octavian ship, an experimental weapon, was released. It was, at that point, it was a choice between the research division members' lives and the project that many had been sacrificed for, or Octavian's crew. I made the difficult decision and unleashed the Aboleth upon them. An aberrant Aboleth in its nature as well. It would have been a valuable research specimen should we have been able to get it back here, but I had to do what I had to do. And I realize you might not agree with that decision.
What could have been so important that you all had to do all this? What reason did you feel the need?
The research division, even under my leadership, even with the strength of its current membership, was nearing its end. We were not able to recruit effectively. We were not able to find suitable replacements. We were having to deploy the likes of Daniel as hunters. We needed to find a way to create a lasting weapon, something that could fulfill the research division's goals of protecting this land, destroying the threats that need to be destroyed, saving innocents long after the research division had gone, but it needed to be something that could evolve and grow and become stronger. And this God Eater creature was the only creature we had found that we could get a hold of that met such criteria. It allowed us to create what Hohenheim has dubbed an Essence Reaver. It allows you as a being to harvest the essence of your enemies and gain new strength and new powers and extend your lifespan far beyond what it should be. And there are threats out there. Threats that make the likes of Strahd look like mere child's play. Threats that can corrupt the gods themselves. And so we needed a weapon to be able to fight those gods.
I see that. Sigma will walk over and sort of one last time is going to kneel and just gonna go, but why do you do it? Why did you take this responsibility?
Because a difficult question to answer. It has always been my duty, ever since I was young, to eventually lead this organization and do what must be done. And what's the right term? It caused some parts of my life to be passed by. Unlike my brother, I was never able to have children. I wanted a legacy, something that would last and prove that what I had done and what I had been doing wasn't for naught, and someone would be able to continue that work afterwards. And that's you. The closest thing to a child I could have. And even if I did have a child, I don't think I could be any more proud of them than I am of you. You have grown tremendously. You have made great friends. You have overcome things that should have been beyond you. And you are perhaps the most worthy leader of this organization that there has been, even more so than myself.
I honestly think it's Sigmund at this point. Sigmund's just speechless. I don't know what to say.
And knowing you, Asta, as your blades have now spilled the blood of one you care about, would imagine you no longer wish to use them going forwards. Would I be correct?
I was already thinking that might be the case.
Then take my blades. I think you will find them of a similar combat capability, but if my estimation is correct, they will have grown somewhat from our battle.
Sigma will stand and salute.
They salute you back.
I think
With that,
Octavian needs help.
they certainly do. You best go help them.
Yeah, Sigma will turn and go.
Yep. Yeah, you are able to go. And as you're leaving and heading back to the central room, one more voice will perk up. Ophelia. Now, as Asta, now that you've achieved your true self, I recommend a change of outfit. That one's far too out of style. And that's when you fade back into reality.
Okay. I think after breaking out, Sigma would just sort of collapse, look over at Octavian, see the others are there, and just sort of hold Dahlia close for a moment before placing her down and turning towards the others. And walk towards Octavian to help him up, as it were.
Oh, yeah, I can pause.
Yeah. I'd eat a good berry.
Yep, you're able to get back up.
Yep.
Are you all right, Octavian?
Yeah. Yeah, that one. Oh, he's unsteady on his feet a bit. Sort of, yeah, he's using his harpoon as like a sort of almost like not a crutch, but something to lean on to help keep his balance a bit. Yeah, I'll be fine.
That's good. You guys would see Sigma is unclipping his butcher blades and sort of pulling the weapons off of Dahlia's body, but leaving most of it. He will take the brooch from her hair, though.
Okay.
As he sort of picks her up and like Princess carries her body, and he goes, I think I figured out the name you all were asking about. Aster. The star.
Good name. So, yeah, Octavian sort of smile. It's a good name.
Esther.
Aster Fenris Lightbrand. Apparently we're more family than I thought. At least parts of me.
Of course you are. But, Esther, how are you?
How do I feel after all this?
I mean, I suppose that's somewhat up to you. How do you think Aster would feel after everything? I mean, I'd imagine somewhat mentally exhausted.
Yeah. I would agree. But you would see that Sigma is walking like tall. Like Sigma would tend to sort of creep and like lean over whenever they're walking because they just would do so. But the way that Sigma is carrying Dahlia, Sigma's like shoulders are firm, like back up, like they are easily standing tall over most of the group. And you would see that there's like tears on the edge of their eyes. Yes, Misha.
Is it Sigma carrying Dahlia, or is it
Aster.
Esther carrying?
It's Aster. I'm still getting used to it. But yes, it's Aster.
I don't know. What would you guys like to do now, or discuss, or talk about?
First
Uh,
things. I think first things first, we need to deal with this, and Octavian will gesture at the big pulsing purple thing.
Yeah, that pulse, I will say, has begun to fade. But there is still a large purple crystal there, I will say.
Hmm.
Um,
Does it look like this chair is connected to it?
Yes.
Could I will place Dahlia down on one of these tables just so she's not laying on the floor. And I
Yeah.
will sort of reach into my mind to see what Dahlia would do as I will sit down in the chair because I presume she would want me to know what to do with this.
Just a second.
So just as a quick one, James, sort of out and out game thing.
Mhm.
So you created a big glowy thing that is the core for a spelljammer that allows you to travel through different planes.
Mm.
Yes,
Maybe.
and
Possibly.
it is connected to a chair.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
Did you make the golden throne? you made the golden throne in the Astronomicon, didn't you?
Maybe.
God
what is
damn
the
it!
golden throne?
It's, Warhammer 40k.
Oh.
It's the throne that the Emperor is sitting in.
But
God
as you
damn it!
sit
James. Sorry.
as you sit down, you do hear Dahlia's voice in your mind. This is what is known as a spell jammer's helm. This entire facility, though you would not be aware of it, is a spell jammer. It is currently not flight capable or travel capable. And it is now, without the seed's power flowing into it, no longer has sufficient charge. It is not, well, actually, that's a lie. The seed we thought would be an effective replacement, particularly once connected to a living soul, but it was not enough. I was trying to, or we were trying to, with what was left of us, to find a way to be able to breach the mists. Though trying to do so would likely have, unless we were careful, torn the town and abbey above apart. For
Sigma will
now,
relay all the information he's given, by the way, to the group as well.
Yeah. For now, without power to it of sufficient quality, or at least whilst within Barovia, there is little that needs to be done about this for the time being. Furthermore, the seed you have now gained is the seed of the Forest Fane. I believe you already, as a party, have the seed of the Mountain Fane.
Yes, we have it safeguarded in a holy church.
It is perhaps appropriate that you came here to and gained this seed, for you are the future, and the Seeker is one who represents the coming of the future.
I see.
There you go.
Yeah, Sigma will basically fill everyone in on basically what happened in their head, and will like move around like looking at these books. And I presume Sigma knows exactly where anything of note would be.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll look towards the group and go, "Is there anything you all wanted to know? Questions of your own?" As
Most
Aster
of
sort
my
of walks back and forth, like knowledgeably.
most of my questions have been answered. Octavian's going to sort of limp his way. You know, he's on 1 HP, but he's going to limp his way down to the.
As you pass by, Aster will spend some. They'll cast Cure Wounds on you, I think.
Oh, he'll put his hand to stop you. So I can do that. I just want to look at this before it shuts down or loses any more power. So he sort of he very much. I'll deal with that in a minute. This is more important.
Yeah. So
yeah, what can I tell about this engine and?
Well, so a spell jamming helm is essentially a chair that is used for the purposes. Once it converts energy into motion. You would know that this would, of course, have to be magic energy of some kind. But this can come from many different places.
Yep.
That magic can come from magical energy, such as, your typical spells. It can come from psionic energy, or even the very life force of a living creature.
Okay.
Based on the design of this is and how it is connected to the furnace room. You would imagine that perhaps this is somehow harnessing elemental energy in order to power it, as well as, based on what Asta has said, the seed's energy, which would be a divine energy of sorts.
Okay.
It is quite an advanced engine design. Going perhaps more mechanical than purely magical, as other devices have. You've, of course, familiar with many of these ships. What else? Though I would say, compared to the engine powering your bombard, this is perhaps lower tech, but more, I would say it's less well put together, but because of that, it looks like maybe it's been modified to allow certain things that yours didn't, which is possibly why they seem to be ever so slightly able to outmaneuver you, despite the inferior technology. And perhaps why the bombard was being deployed as they needed to take it down. Anything else in particular you'd like to know?
Not off the top of my head.
After we deal with everything here, Octavian, if we free the mists, I'd gladly get you home.
It is certainly possible that if you can find a way to power this, and you can get past the mists, or if the mists are gone, this ship should be able to breach a hole into the astral sea to be able to get you home.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Just sort of digging what information you can sort of glean from it. It's taking sort of sketches and like, you know, he's really he's going sort of engineer on this thing, minus the taking it apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of. Octavian's very much dead to everyone else at the moment. Like, he's blocked everything out. He's focused on this.
Yeah. Misha, is there anything you would like to ask?
We're asking questions to Dahlia's memory.
Yeah. Or to these books, essentially, as well. They might have information.
Astra has a book
Esther.
pulled open that is looking through it.
Are you aware, or was Dahlia aware if there was any other surviving light brands?
Mm. Sort of like picking through the books, I will look to see if there's any like recent like reports or because I presume you're asking about Vasily.
I actually think she might consider Vasily to be dead.
I will look to see if she has a like a
Yeah.
like a family tree with like sort of like a rough
Yeah. So,
death life sort of
looking
situation.
through, you can obviously, and some of these books in like machinery, which should now be more familiar to use, you can search through. You can see the current status of the Lightbrand members that you are personally aware of. You can see Misha's mother and father and their current status. You
Is
can
there rude notes
see
about Misha's mother?
some, yes.
Ugh.
Um, there is some information on Vasily. It appears Vasily has integrated himself with one of the local werewolf packs. So far, our informants and spies have not yet been able to deem if he has been turned, and if he has, whether he has become like the leader of that group, or if he still holds to Lightbrand values. As such, we have deemed not to intervene as of yet. But we'll try to get messages to him when we can to see if he requires any assistance. But we do not want to play our hand until we are more certain.
Astra will relay this, saying, "It seems Vasily's alive, and that he's somewhat safe."
Of course she would figure out that he's still alive.
Looking at those notes, I'm going to flip over to see what her opinions of Misha are. Out of curiosity.
Yes. It has recently surfaced that Misha Lightbrand, the younger of the two children of the main Lightbrand. Are you the older or the younger? Sorry.
Misha is the older. Vasily was
The
the younger
older,
one.
sorry. Yeah, the older of the two Lightbrand children is still alive. This is, of course, great news. Unlike my brother and his wife, I do not see what has afflicted Misha as necessarily a detriment. It is something that perhaps needs to be studied to see if it can be harnessed, but that is perhaps why they hid them away. They were worried about what the research division could do, and it might teeter the balance in our favor. Though, considering what has happened to the main branch, it is clear that I was in the right the entire time. And it seems, so far, that Misha has proven himself a more worthy member of the Lightbrand family than my brother ever was.
Does
It
she
all... Hmm?
does she know specifically what afflicted me? Or only the symptoms?
Based on the reading, it seems they only know the symptoms because they've not been allowed access. There are theories such as possession, something similar to being shadow touched, but perhaps hell or abyss touched, perhaps. Some sort of soul corruption, or perhaps, and this is sort of an outreach, it's possible that there could be a future event or a past event that has introduced infernal blood into the bloodline that has finally begun to manifest. This seems unlikely considering our family's general distaste for the infernal. However, it is not entirely impossible. After all, great Uncle Drake did spend an odd amount of time fighting devils, more so than we would expect. And he always came back seemingly uninjured. Though that might have been just skill.
And I will, since we are, that's the whole reason we came here, I will also look for any information on the Amber Temple.
Yes,
And
please.
if Greed's interested, Greed, also look for any opinions or notes written about Greed. And Palmar for good measure.
The Amber Temple is perhaps the most important location in all of Barovia. It is one that is regularly frequented by the most loyal member of Strahd's household, the Dusk Elf traitor Rahadin. Our spies have managed to infiltrate and observe. It appears that this temple is a temple to a god of secrets, a god whose name has been forgotten, and yet their power still exists. We have heard strange whisperings there, temptations, offering power at a price. It is believed, based on much detailed research, that it may be this very location that allowed Strahd to become what he is, as well as other powerful beings. The powers from this temple, the dark powers, permeate all of the domains of dread, but it seems that they have coalesced and formed an almost crystalline state here, hence the name Amber Temple.
Mm.
Based on our analysis of the tiefling known as Greed, it seems that they have a connection to the Amber Temple. What this connection is, we have been unable to fathom, apart from that they seem to carry with them a piece of amber. Perhaps a tribute that needs to be delivered, or perhaps a key to unlock one of the denizens locked within, or perhaps something else entirely. Unfortunately, the lower levels where the amber supposedly lies, we have not yet been able to breach. We have seen strange creatures there, creatures unseen, and we do not wish to push our hand and bring forth Strahd's wrath before we are ready to deal with him. Project Vasilka is not ready, and neither is Project Omega 1 for that situation.
Well, Sigma will sort of say this out loud to the group, like, not hiding information. We're here to, like, no reason to mistrust anybody. As well as
should things prove suitable, it has been suggested that we reach out to the Artificer Palmer. Whilst their knowledge is perhaps not quite of a sufficient level to assist, an extra perspective who is gifted in the technological and technomagical arts could be a useful ally. Also, with the access to the resources here, it could allow them to flourish and become a much more useful ally. And yes, Zay.
I just remembered someone else who might be an asset. Well, there is Pelmar, who has knowledge of technology and the likes. There's also, what's his name? Victor?
Victor.
Son of
Yes.
the former Baron, Burgermeister from Valaki.
That is true.
They are doing research on getting out of Barovia. They might learn some new stuff from this spelljammer. And help improve it, maybe?
Palmar and Victor would be quite an unstoppable duo here. You think he could use the resources, Greed? And Aster will look at Greed with, like, interest to see if Greed agrees or not.
I mean, always. If anything is going spare, I know that Palmar can do with, well, whatever he can get his hands on. It's worthwhile looking into.
Aster will think, dig through, like, one of these desks and, like, open a drawer that probably has some of the early schematics. And sort of lay them out in preparation for Palmar to come by later. And then it looks like Katia actually has a question in their absence, which is wanting to know why Dahlia never interfered when Strahd was walking around the town of Kresk.
This one, Dahlia herself will answer in your head, because this wouldn't be written down. Strahd, as he stands, is not something any singular person or group can handle. Whilst the power of the Fanes are on his side, defeating him is nigh on impossible. He commands the very land itself, and it has enhanced his body in ways far beyond his vampirism. should those seeds be returned and the Fanes subsequently reconsecrated, research that we have been looking into, we would be able to then perhaps launch an assault. But with our numbers as they are, or as they were, should I say, it would be foolhardy. Whilst Strahd himself is a threat, there are also his brides and many other dangerous people who are associated. There is the guardian of the Swamp Fane who would likely come to his aid. There is also those that guard the windmill and many other beings that revere or worship or work for Strahd in one way or another. We have perhaps bided our time too long, but with what we have, there is little we could do against him, as much as I hate to admit it. That being said, you now have in your possession 2 of the seeds. If you're able to reconsecrate those, and perhaps reconsecrate the third as well, you will weaken Strahd significantly. But in order to do so, you will have to deal with some of his minions. And that too will weaken him significantly.
Astra will relay this, and we'll get Katia's response to that later.
Furthermore,
Hmm.
if you are able to restore Arkenvost's skull to the mausoleum at Arkenvostholt, I believe that will relight the beacon and grant you an edge that you would otherwise not have. What that will be would be entirely up to the spirit of Arkenvost and perhaps to Bahamut himself.
Yeah, Astra relays.
Also,
Oh,
sorry,
yeah, go
a
ahead.
warning for greed. Should your journey take you to the Amber Temple, try not to die. If you do so, your death will be permanent. That goes for everyone. Souls that enter that place will not leave.
Well, I thought that was kind of a given with the whole death thing.
Even the Dark Powers revival magic that is rumored to be there would not be able to bring your soul back. It would be extinguished beyond even the mightiest clerics, beyond even the gods to restore.
Mm.
Oh boy.
Is that a canonical Greedo boy?
Yeah.
It seems that place is quite a danger.
Well, that's where we're heading, unfortunately. I'm sorry to do this to you all.
If it would give us an edge, an attempt on the Argynvost skull may be worth our time, but the Fanes also would do similar for us. There is the tree on the way.
As long as it's a short stop, I mean, I'd much rather get it out of the way.
What does any of these records or Dahlia know regarding the guardian of the final seed?
The Weaver?
The Guardian of the Final Seed is a being that believes itself to be the mother of Strahd and the most dedicated worshipper of Mother Night, beloved of Mother Night. The druids that remain in this land revere her, a being known as Baba Lysaga, perhaps a homage to the Queen of Bones herself, Baba Yaga. It is said, though we have not yet approached, for her power could perhaps rival or exceed Strahd's, that her home is capable of moving, and the very swamps themselves are hers to command as much as they are Strahd's.
Does it have any notes on what location she'd be at beyond just the swamps?
I'll actually take to the map when it loads for me. Let me actually give you more than just that, actually. I'm going to give you a little bit more information. The Swamp Thing and its guardian are within the ruins of Old Berez.
Ah,
Oh.
Hmm.
Fuck.
okay.
It is also where they will be able to be reconsecrated. Just see if I can find the other bit of notes. Sorry, just a second. The Swamp Thane. A number of high priestesses were gathered by Baba Lysaga, Strahd, and others, dragged to a shrine in Berez and tied to the stone menhirs there. They were tortured for several days and nights until they forsook their faith to the ladies, slowly damning the ladies three as false gods. When their faith was finally surrendered, their hearts were cut out and presented to Strahd, who was then able to corrupt and take the power of the Swamp Thing for himself. The seed left in her hands to guard.
Mm. It would seem we have much to hunt.
Yes, it would.
Would you also be interested in the Forest Thane at this point? You do now have that seed.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Forest Thane, its ritual site is near the old mill known as the Bone Grinder.
Ah, okay.
It is
Oh,
believed
boy.
that the three hags were the ones who corrupted this place. Ravens were a sacred animal to the natives of the valley and were tied especially strongly to the Forest Thane. It is said, I'm just checking that I'm remembering that right. It is said that the ravens themselves were representatives of her, of the Forest Thane, and thus they were baked into pies and fed to the masses of Barovia. The ravens were caught, taken to the Forest Thane by Strahd himself, where they were killed before bringing the carcasses to the hags, who then baked them into pies and fed them unknowingly to the masses of Barovia.
Mm.
It is believed that the current hags might not even be the original ones, but descendants. But either way, to their coven, the land surrounding the forest shrine were given, including Old Bone Grinder, which became their lair.
Well, we have the deed.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, however, they, strangely, the more recent generation of hags have leased out or temporarily leased out the Bone Grinder to the Durst family. Why they did this and what they got out of it, we do not yet know.
Odd. Well, that
Actually, though perhaps the deed itself could provide to be an anathema to the hags themselves.
intriguing.
What?
Well,
Anathema?
anathema, yes, an opposite.
Anathema.
Yeah. Anathema. Yeah.
Anathema.
Let me just check. Was there anything else? Misha, you wanted to know more about the werewolf tribe, I believe?
I wanted to know if she knew about Vasily being there. So
Which-
that answer
yeah.
that question has been answered.
Okay.
Uh,
Is there
yeah,
anything else you'd like to know about them?
Not really about the werewolf tribe. There was one thing that I wanted to know about Vasilka.
Yeah.
Is that project abandoned? Or is it still
Um,
ongoing?
Project Vasilka, a joint project between us and the celestial being known as the Abbot, who has for some reason taken residence within the Abbey of St. Markovia and has been here for an extended period of time. He believes that the way to deal with Strahd is to create an ideal bride for him, perhaps one that could even ensnare Tatiana's soul within it in some way to get near Strahd and work as an assassin, much in the ways of some of the ancient Eastern tribes and cultures. Unfortunately, the closest that we have been able to get to such a project is the former Mother Superior. And perhaps to a slightly lesser extent, the priestess known as Olga. However, neither of these are yet suitable for purpose, and with Strahd's eyes targeted towards Katia and Irina, it seems unlikely that this project will work. We will continue to support it for the time being, as was, or we would have considered, should I say, for the time being, due to the deal that was made with the abbot and him keeping our location secret. However, now that Asta has taken charge, that decision is entirely in their hands whether that project will continue.
In that same vein, I will look for any information on the abbot. I mainly have a curiosity about it, in the sense that he's celestial, hiding his form, what's going on.
So the abbot is a powerful celestial. we estimate him to be on a high level of challenge. Perhaps enough to, if Strahd wasn't empowered and they deemed to do so, a threat for Strahd himself. Though perhaps not. We have yet to determine exactly why the abbot refuses to act directly and why they have remained hidden for so long. Considering the time the abbey has been here and the time the abbot has been here, he could have potentially intervened before Strahd gained the power of the Thanes. Yet he did not. This is a difficult topic to bring up, and one we have not yet managed to confirm. However, we have also not yet managed to confirm, despite managing to gain samples of flesh and blood, exactly what Deva this abbot is. What's celestial? We currently theorize possibly a Deva, but there is something different that does not quite meet that criteria.
Well, is there anything else from any of you? You all are quite battered. Greed, did you have any questions? I know that you were curious about some things Dahlia had to say.
Well, I mean, the biggest one is, what dealings did she have with my family? That would be one of my biggest curiosities.
Yeah, as I sort of like reach into my head, I will also look for any bookkeeping that would have been with Greed's family, like notes of purchases and purposes.
Yes. Prior to our arrival in Barovia, prior to our shipping out to the Astral Sea, we required a large number of resources, some of which were easy to obtain, others which required a more complicated arrangement. As such, what would your family name be, Greed? Because I don't actually know what your family or your parents' organization would be. I don't think we've discussed that.
Disgusting. Bear with.
With the aid of Redacted, we have managed to secure a number of these resources. It seems that a member of that household has got a potential skill and could be an asset in the future. We have managed to identify this one called Greed. As a reminder, as part of our purchases of wine and other resources, I took it upon myself to take an additional bottle of wine, marked by the child. I used this as a slight negotiation point in order to get us a discount, but that was purely pragmatic. mostly I just wanted it because the drawing was frankly adorable, and I couldn't resist.
Hmm. So it's just mere coincidence.
It could be, but it seems like the business relationship was quite long.
What exact dealings was it to build this place?
Mostly the dealings that were done were for resources for their travel to the Astral Sea, some of which would be certain bits of equipment and perhaps like rare poisons that they would need access to that in order to perhaps sedate or otherwise kill targets in the Astral Sea. One such thing appears to be a device sourced from Thoombridge, an experimental device known as an astral cloak. It is a device that can be fitted to a spelljammer, and in theory, hide it from the eyes of the astral dreadnoughts, one of the biggest threats in the Astral Sea. Highly experimental, unlikely to work, but if it does work, it would save time and potentially allow a much easier journey, even if personally the organization believes the creator to be quite mad. But sometimes madness can be close to genius.
I've sent you names, by the way.
Yep. Yes, so going back to Redacted, it would be the Redwine family. But wine spelled with a Y.
Well, if you all need any form of rest, I can spend the time looking over the research we have and seeing if I can update any gear. I can take a look around for that rite of consecration we were looking at in the church. We're looking for in the church in Vallaki. If we're lucky, we'll find it. But I think Octavian needs to
Rest would
sit
be
down
nice.
and stop leaning on his bad leg.
But Helm.
Is it going anywhere, Octavian?
The power
Lieutenant?
is. He just sort of retorts what the power supply is.
We'll figure out the power supply later.
Yeah.
What use is it now while we're trapped behind the mist?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. He's still not sort of looking. He's really sort of just, or like if he could, he bore a hole in this bloody thing. Like he's staring. He's like, yeah, I know. Not sort of looking away from it. You're probably going to have to physically remove him from this at this point.
Okay, Octavian.
Mm.
It's time for sleep. And Misha is gonna walk over to Octavian, tries to grab him. Does that even work?
I do apologize. It would appear that there's an internet outage. It's for the moment.
Hmm.
No problem.
I was shooing everyone off to either upgrade, like work on their gear, or to go to like rest, offering to read from the line from the captain to say to himself.
Well, you have free reign of the facility now, so you can go wherever you wish, including to the bedrooms, including to the bathroom to have a bath, to the kitchens for more food. You've obviously got the training facilities.
Is
Got the medical bay.
is the power completely shutting off, or is it going down to like a much lower level? Like,
The power of this, it's slowly fading, and you would suspect eventually it will shut down entirely. It seems like it requires being refueled by the seed in order to repower it. Though it's possible that it might still have some remaining elemental energy.
does it look like
Coming
it'll
from the
last?
furnace room.
Does it look like it'll last a good deal while in the sense of like maintaining the facility's power?
So this itself wouldn't be the facility's power. This is more specifically just like the spell jammer side of things.
Oh, okay.
So you should be fine. Yeah.
You gotta go grab Octavian by the shoulder and pull him away from the spelljammer and go. We can keep looking at it later.
Roll for it.
I'm gonna pick you up. Esther's gonna help me.
You're gonna pick up 900 pounds?
Together we can.
Together we can. I'll
I
gladly
kind of
help
want to
you.
try this. This feels like a thing Katia might do. Step away from him a moment.
No fair.
Actually, no, I can do this the other way. Yeah, make me a wisdom saving throw.
Really? Okay.
Ugh.
I have a plus 12 to wisdom saving throws.
You've still got the boost from that. That's annoying.
Mm.
Minus a 5, it would be a 22. That's still
22.
too high. So that won't work. Do I have something else that will work in this case? I do not. You'd have to roll exceptionally low. Even with the negatives you've got. Actually. Level of exhaustion.
There's 4 of you. Just drag me away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll drag him
Or
away.
try to.
I was trying to literally use the sleep spell on you, but
I mean, to be fair, even with exhaustion, that'd take it down to 20. That'd take it down to a 20.
yeah.
I will assist Misha in pulling Octavian away to bed.
Yep. So, are you going to take him to the medical bay or to the actual bedrooms?
I will look towards Octavian as we drag him and let him choose.
I was thinking just a chair, but medical bay might be better.
I think whichever you think. Octavian wants to stay here, so you're going to have to physically manhandle him, like out the room.
Here. You know what? If he wants to stay here, I could put up the tiny hut.
I will say, out game, you want to get him out here, otherwise I will not rest.
Yeah.
That's how sort of involved he is with this thing. Like, this is, you have for Octavian, this is the first sort of even inkling of him being able to potentially get back home. He is not leaving this willingly.
So if
Nope.
you will, let me. Oh no, all of my spell slots are used.
Yeah, 15. I'm gonna say is enough. You can also roll me an athletics check, Octavian.
See,
and again, you'll be
no.
advantage because. Yeah, you're unable to successfully drag Octavian away.
Octavian,
I'm sorry.
Managing to resist.
That's flat roll. I have 0 to have my athletics.
Octavian, I suggest that you go and rest now. I'm just gonna cast suggestion.
You know what? My chances of succeeding that are going to be extreme. Actually, no, I'm down to a 5. I'll give it a go. Yeah.
Too much.
Succeed.
I was down to a +5 on the saving throw.
Bruh.
Aster will look at you and go, "You're about to fall over. Don't make me exhaust you more."
Oh, wait, hang on a second. Does non-lethal put you on death's door?
No.
Cool, I'm gonna go around and crack him around the back of the head.
I was gonna say Octavian, final warning.
I'm bonking him.
He still isn't looking at people, really.
Yeah, whoever wants to do so can strike him. Yeah.
I also can't be sneak
say.
attacked.
Knock him out.
You know what? Yeah, that works.
Temporary hit
Just
points,
do it.
yay!
Yeah.
Knock him
Yeah,
out.
and now between the party, you can drag him to the medical bay.
There we go, that solves that
So
problem. Now let's get...
I'll
thank
just
you,
move.
Breeds.
I'll move them to there for you.
What was that, Misha?
Thank you.
Well, somebody had to do something.
Just strap him to the bed.
Do you want to end initiative so we don't have crazy...
Oh yeah, that's probably a good idea.
But
Yeah.
Astra will collect Dahlia's body, and I presume there's a place to keep it in the meantime. He'll probably need to
Honestly,
speak to...
this is probably the best room to keep it. It's ice cold in here.
Yeah,
Either here or maybe Slither can do something.
yeah. I will just sort of set them down over here in the meantime, as we will likely need to discuss about what to do about that later. But I will go and look at everyone's gear and see. I will see if Dahlia had anything prepared for us getting here beyond anything, just in case. But I will also go look over the gear and see if there's anything we missed, and see if I can find that rite of consecration while everyone rests.
Yeah. You do find the rite of consecration. It's actually bookmarked in one of the books for you.
Very good.
What else do you find? Although you already have it, you would find the necessary resources to silver weapons.
Makes sense.
You would also probably find the necessary items to like affix a bayonet to a crossbow, alter weapons as deemed necessary.
Yeah, and I will also look through the stores to change my clothes as Ophelia suggested.
Mm-hmm.
And I will probably also take Dahlia's head.
Yeah. Katia will probably go, right, as there's nothing else to do, I'm gonna go have a bath before Greed gets there. And hogs all the hot water.
No.
Because I can imagine that being something Katia would say.
Misha, before you leave, as everyone else is leaving, you would see Aster braiding Dahlia's hair before putting them down on the ground, on the ice, so that they don't degrade.
Yeah. Also, Greed, as you went through, you would see runs with knives sleeping atop the pool or resting atop the pool table. They're occasionally batting some of the balls into the various pockets and then pulling them out and re-racking them.
Okay. I'm just gonna perch down in the
in
the room and wait for my turn.
Yeah.
Maybe have a glass of wine or two.
Yep. Yeah, there's plenty of opportunity for that. In fact, as you're sitting there, Greed, you have a moment of terror as one of the rugs begins moving again, but instead it reaches for one of the wine bottles and pours your glass and hands it over to you.
Oh. Thank you.
The rug just nods, and you get an impression of your head. Don't you dare spill it on me.
Greed spilling wine? Never.
Oh, God. Sacrilege.
Yeah. Thinking, would there be anything they would do as like potentially as upgrades for the party without being too much, other than has been discussed? Misha, no, I don't think so. Actually, there is an additional note for Misha. Should they be capable of doing so and able to defeat the revenant that remains of my brother, I would advise Misha to take up the shield of the family.
Oh, I was gonna do that before beating him.
The other Sigma also is given the same treatment that
Yeah.
that Aster is giving
Yeah,
Dahlia.
they kind of got a massive cat claw up through the chest.
But they're given the same respect as every
Yeah. The other two Dahlias have assumed their true form as basically faceless. They were doppelgangers, basically.
Okay.
Or that's the form they seem to have now taken.
They were essentially reconstituted. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Esther, is this one considered your sibling?
I would think so. older sibling who worked far too long.
The crypt is big. I hope there's still a spot for them.
We'll need the skull before we go back to that.
We don't need the skull to give them a burial.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna have one more note. There is an oddity that we have detected regarding Ravenloft that we have not yet been able to identify. Though we have seen members of Strahd's retinue enter Ravenloft or clearly be observed there. And then suddenly they are in another location within Barovia. Almost like some form of teleportation magic, perhaps. Though we have not yet identified the exact locations of where these might be. Someone well versed in conjuration magic may be able to trace this, but it would be difficult.
Oh. Are there any locations tied to this phenomena, or is it appearing randomly?
Well, I can give you a little bit on that. Let me just find the thing exactly. It is gonna be in that set of maps, I'm pretty sure. Best bloody be. Because I'm not looking through all of the Ravenloft maps for this. Terrible. We have seen Rahadin seemingly pass from Ravenloft to near the Amber Temple without seemingly passing the spaces in between. This was also the case with Strahd's arrival in Kresk, though we are not sure exactly where this location is. We believe this may also have been how the vampire spawn were smuggled into Vallaki.
Mm. It's worth some research.
How to trace them?
Rest your head, Misha.
Well, if there is a way that Rahadin can quickly travel between Ravenlofts and the Ember Temple, that means we would have a quick route from the Ember Temple to Castle Ravenlofts.
We wouldn't know where we would pop out. But it is intriguing. I will just for fun, I will go ahead and do this. As I sort of think about Strahd, get a whiff in the air. About how far is Strahd from me right now?
Oh, activating that. Okay. And it's do I do that? Strahd is right next to you, but also very far away, and also a few miles away. and also particularly in your pocket.
Excuse me. Hmm.
He is ancient. He is the land.
I know that much. I'm gonna focus on him.
Yep, and that is all you are getting. Like, as you are focusing on that, you are basically getting. You're basically getting Barovia as the answer.
Okay, sure enough.
Unfortunately. Um, though, if you roll me a perception check,
Sure.
whilst you can sense him from everywhere, there are 4 main locations you can sense him from. One is in your pocket. One is in Vallaki. One is in Berez. And one is in Ravenloft.
Oh.
Yes.
Can they still sense him while the seat of power is in a lead encased chest in the
Well,
center
that's a
of
good
this
point. If it
castle?
is in a lead encased chest,
There's no limitations on this feature.
yeah, unfortunately, this goes beyond like divination magic. This is which
I can detect people in other realms.
I would say for
Wow.
you, Asta, that's perhaps the most surprising. Like that you can still sense what is most likely the seed in Vallaki, despite all the protections you had.
That is odd.
Hmm. You know what? I'm gonna be nice, I think. You have access to that. Now let me have a look. So I'm gonna say also, whilst looking around, you find some spell scrolls labeled for certain members of your party. For greed, you find a scroll of Rawlathim's Psychic Lance. Or Katia, you find a scroll of. Let me just remind myself the difference between these two spells. You find a scroll of Aura of Life. Or Octavian, you find. Let's check something now. To see if there's one that really strikes me as being appropriate. Tempting. Perhaps not. You find a scroll of Fount of Moonlight.
Thank you.
And for our paladin, we actually
Daylight?
find 2 scrolls. You can be able to do that. So yeah, you find a scroll of shining smite, and just have a look. Just take me a second. What I get for coming up with ideas on the fly when it comes to things like this. You would have that already. That's tempting. Yeah, you find a scroll of invigorate.
Oh,
Mm.
I will hand those out to the respective people.
Yeah. So just a second. Which one did I say for greed? Wall of Pims, didn't I?
Roll Thim Psychic Lens.
And not forgetting Sigma, though you've obviously had a significant amount of upgrades. There is, should I say, a spell scroll for you here as well, which that's tempting. Let me just see which of these catches my eye the most. That's tempting. If there's any fun new spells. Sorry, I just saw a spell name and I'm like, okay, interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna say it is a scroll of biohazard.
Oh,
I might actually just quickly. Actually, I'm gonna change what Katia's one is. Actually, I changed my mind. Should have a look. Actually, I kind of want to make all of these new spells. Now that I've said it, so I'm gonna quickly look at the warlock list. Talk amongst yourselves a moment whilst I'm doing this. Or RP out, whatever you like.
yeah. You guys would hear into the night. Sigma would be sort of maintaining your gear the way that they always do, but now you can hear the sounds of like proper blacksmithing occurring rather than him just sharpening things. even your dagger gets a new nice sharpened edge. Great.
I barely even
Yeah.
use it. I think that's the most action it's ever gotten. It's-
Wasn't even the sharp
Yeah.
parts.
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, you know
It was
what?
the
Agreed.
pommel.
Actually, I'm instead going to read that as their spell scroll.
Oh,
Hmm.
Summoning the thing with the writhing tail.
That is the name
that
of the spell.
thing.
Interesting.
It's a fun thing.
Which means I am going to have to import that monster, but you know
Not just
that can be
import
done.
a monster, you also need to create a spell.
Yeah.
Drakenheim is available in Poots.
Yeah,
Is
so
it?
I should be
Because
able to.
I don't have. I couldn't find invigorates.
We can touch on them between sessions. I don't think
Yeah.
we'll need them
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, this is more just for say.
How long am I unconscious for?
Roll a d4.
Yeah.
4.
Wow.
It's 1d4 plus 1.
Oh, 5.
Dick.
Yeah, you're out for a while.
God damn it. Greed, you're getting such a slap.
Or until you regain a hit point. So, depending on how nice Slither is for you.
Yeah, so Sliver is going to. They will heal you.
Oh, bollocks. Are we re-rolling on 1 on hit die?
Yes, I will say. But you do find yourself heavily strapped down.
God damn it.
Apologies, Octavian. I was told to keep you in my care until you have sufficiently rested. However, an unconscious being cannot gain any rest, so I was required to heal you of that state.
How much movement do I have? In like my
0.
hands and no, I meant in my hands and
0.
really?
Mm-hmm. In
No use
fact, you
strapping down
almost feel
werewolves.
like you're under the effect of hold person.
God damn it, you're not even gonna let me cast Lesser Restoration to get rid of my exhaustion.
Well, that'll go after the long rest. This is only 1 level. Though, considering I'm nice. There you go.
Damn it.
They have a duty of care after all.
I think while I'm in here, I'm going to ask Sliver. I keep forgetting names. Sliver, isn't it?
Yep. Yep.
If they have a like chemistry lab area in this place.
They consider this. Probably the closest to that would be either this room where I would make up medical supplies, the kitchen or the storeroom beyond, or in some cases the bathroom, though that is a different kind of alchemy that I do not have to deal with anymore.
Yeah, not the sort of chemical I was thinking.
What were you thinking of?
So there's a couple of ingredients I need. It is sulfur.
Mm-hmm.
It is charcoal.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the brain work. I know it.
Eater?
Yes, saltpeter. Thank you. You know when when you know something, it's on the tip of your tongue, you just can't.
Yeah.
Yes, saltpeter. Salt of charcoal and saltpeter.
It should be possible to gather those ingredients together. That is true. I don't think any of those particularly rare ingredients by themselves.
No, but it's what happens when you mix them.
In my head, I was thinking it was something to do with potassium and saltpeter is potassium nitrate. Wow, I knew something that even I didn't know I knew.
One easy way to get hold of it: black guano.
Yes.
Which there's
I
a lot
believe-
of in Barovia.
Yes.
Yes, I
The
believe.
hardest thing to get in Barovia would be sulfur.
Yes. This would be for your. What have they been calling? What is branch of knives called them? A boomstick, I believe.
He visibly cringes at hearing that. It is a firearm.
But it has neither fire nor arms.
I'm going to sit here and give Slivers a full, we'll do this sort of out of, but
Yeah.
Octavian is going to give him a full, history lesson and chemistry lesson on black powder, gum, and how it all works.
That is fair.
And that will probably take the 5 hours that he has to rest for, or the time he has to rest for. It's a big subject.
Yeah, well, okay, so you're doing that. Asta is working on weapon maintenance. Greed, what are you doing other than waiting for the bath and drinking wine?
Well, I would have rejoined if Katia was taking an age.
Yeah.
And would have just.
I'm imagining they're singing in the bath for some reason.
I'll just purge down. Probably. Wait, Octavian's in the medical ward, isn't he?
Infirmary.
Yeah. I'll just purge out with the others and.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know what he'd do. Just be pondering over what he learned.
You would see that Sigma has set the butcher blades, and he's literally set them and sort of tied them together and set them aside, and now has Dahlia's blades on their waist.
Yeah, both of which have an ever so slight purple glow to the edge.
Okay.
You would also see Sigma is half dressed in a new outfit.
It's understandable that you'd take trophies. Probably not your fondest kill.
I'd just rather not be carrying blades that killed someone I cared about around.
I can understand that.
The only reason I can bear the adamantine dagger is she clearly intended for me to use it. And we may need it.
So is your tie gone?
What do you mean?
You're tied to Dahlia.
No. There's still parts of her in here, and he'll point towards his head. And you will have noticed that Aster, ever since, has stood a little straighter. Things are a little different. It seems a little more socially aware. Has not moved to get into your face at all ever since that moment with Dahlia at the end.
How are you feeling about the whole thing? You seem chirpier.
I didn't have much choice. Do you think Octavian would have listened to reason?
Not at all. He's as hard-headed as it comes.
So my two choices easily would have been kill Octavian or kill Dahlia. And she
Well,
made it easy so that I could do one.
you know what the smartest option is, at least.
I don't think intelligence had anything to do with my decision.
I beg to differ. I think you definitely chose the smartest the smartest option. It's hard when you're backed up against the wall.
I wish I didn't have to make the choice.
Unfortunately,
Wasn't really a choice.
that is just life. We get choices that we, of course, don't want to make. Almost like an ultimatum at every turn.
I hope you know if that patron of yours tries to hurt you, I do intend on killing them.
I completely understand. And well, I don't think I've thanked you yet. I do see what you do, and I do appreciate it. Both of you. I'd say all of you, but the others are indisposed.
You've stayed with us. You kept true to your word. You're a dear friend to us.
And you as well.
I don't think I've ever asked you this. How are you holding up? Because I am pretty sure this is not how your life used to be. You were not prepared for this menace that we are facing, seeking out every day.
Me? Well, I mean, it's not so much out of the ordinary that I'd have somebody watching me over my shoulder. I mean, fuck, if you grew up in my household, it happened all the time. Sure, this may be a higher being of sorts, but it feels no different.
What were your family's expectations like agreed?
He gives a bellow of a laugh. My family run, well, their family like a business. Everything had to be perfect. They expected way too much from me, and quite frankly, I'm much better off without them. In fact, as soon as I grew of age that I could leave that shithole, I made quite a name for myself without them. Good riddance. After all, look at what they put their money into. Fucking funding a militia. Going out causing all sorts of chaos, no offense.
I'm not sure how I could take offense. The research division is a place where things are expected to be out of the ordinary.
I think it just would have been nice if they saw me for the potential that I had rather than the potential they thought they were bestowing upon me. And I'm not saying that I have mummy and daddy problems. They're just terrible people. Greed looks a little solemn for a moment before going into his bag and pulling out a bottle of wine that he grabbed from the other room and taking a swig.
Astra will look sort of at Dahlia and go, I mean, I know the weight of expectations a little bit.
And we both have monsters to face. We're strangely alike. God. Don't tell Palmar I said that. He'd knock me silly.
Pelmer won't hear it.
Astra will sort of chuckle and go, Is it supposed to hurt this much?
No. It's supposed to hurt more. But it gets easier if there's people with you.
You would see sort of Astra is like sitting on the ground, like, and sort of pulls him to a sort of almost fetal position. As it just sort of go, is this what feeling? Why? Somehow, do I feel more alone, even though you're all here right now?
You've lost a big part of you. But one thing that you can take away of it is, well, one door closes, another opens. It's best not to dwell on it. That's the part that eats you. Just knowing that you're not alone right now should be enough.
It seems like part of me is made for eating. At least eating something.
Made for eating.
You want to know what that other part for you is made for? So other people don't have to feel what you are feeling now.
When the other hunters said why they hunted, when they told me what made them fight, I never really understood the loss they felt. I could see the memories, I could feel the emotions, but I didn't know what they were. I didn't really understand. Is this what death is?
Yes.
Will this eventually happen to you all?
Eventually. Preferably not anytime soon.
It is likely. Hunters generally don't turn very old because of the danger we put ourselves in.
But if I live as long as they say I'm supposed, I'm going to have to watch you all die?
We'll see when it gets there.
It's best not to think about it.
Didn't Octavian mention something about the Astral Sea and time and all that nonsense? that he's older than he looks.
Maybe. Is there anything I could do? There's plenty of gear here. If there's anything you need, I'm sure I could find it.
Oh, don't we have that stash of silver from I don't remember where?
Yeah, Astra will pull out the silver jewelry.
Oh, I remember where we got from the Blue Water Inn.
Yep.
Sorry. Let's start blessing some water.
Yeah, we'll need a lot for consecration. You think the abbot would help us?
For the consecrating or for the blessing?
Either.
Well, as Katia has done, she definitely wants to help.
You see Astra's ears perk up. Oh,
Oh,
who closed the door? Who opened the door?
who opened the door?
That is a question that you find the answer to as Katia comes round the corner.
Yep. Astra was about to say the thing, but the singing stopped.
Probably got their hair still wrapped up in a towel. That was lovely. Your turn, Greed,
My
or
dad.
anyone else.
You better get there before Runs with Knives goes in.
Oh, then the bob's getting all hairy.
Gone. Teleporting.
I mean, I did offer it to him, but he just seemed quite content to lick himself clean.
Glass of wine, candles. Bless.
Should we long rest, I think?
Yeah, you can all have a long rest.
Yippee!
Yippee!
I presume he's
yeah.
going to use his last spell slots to do holy water in preparation.
Yep. That is fine.
Wait, you've got spell slots for holy water?
Katia might. She probably does.
Katia might.
Katia doesn't have ceremony prepared.
Wow.
If Slivers
yeah.
will let me up, I'll cast Good Berry.
Yeah, once you're once he feels you're sufficiently rested, he'll at least allow you to sit up.
Yeah, I presume everyone is in like the sleeping quarters. But you would see Octavian. You would see like holding your, wearing a completely new outfit. You'd see Sigma sitting in a chair, waiting for you to wake up.
Mhm.
And I will
Oh,
post.
he's been awake the whole time. Just Slivers hasn't let him up.
Why haven't you slept?
Sliver,
Oh,
like,
because we haven't
after
long
you,
rest yet. Sorry, I do
You just
apologise.
after you had rested for or laid there for a small amount of time, he probably would have put you into a medically induced sleep to ensure you rested.
Not another one. I've already been in one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but his is more like, an injection or something.
That was mine.
But you Octavian, you would see
Yeah.
wearing Dahlia's hat and a chained cloak over one arm, and the
Mhm.
brooch of the light brands, and a coif and a high collar, sort of messing with the adamantine dagger. You would see Aster across from you, just sort of watching you, like, with that same sort of tendency that they always have.
Yeah. Sort of wake up and just sort of swing his leg around, sort of sit on the edge of the bed and just, usual sort of rub the eyes, rub the temple. Oh. Sort of look up, very sort of bleary-eyed.
That same braid that they've given to basically every character except for you at this point. You'd see, like, down their back with their incredibly long, sort of pinkish hair.
Mhm.
Did you rest
Looks-
well?
He sort of side-eye sliver and goes, yes, very much so. Unwillingly, but yes.
I ensured you had a dreamless sleep, and that would allow you to fully recover.
I
Yeah.
apologize, Lieutenant. You know how you have to be whenever your crew are refusing to get their rest, and, like, sort of knowingly, like, smile as they look down at Octavian.
Okay, just sort of smiles and sort of reaches up, sort of turns his head and neck, and you hear sort of this loud crack go off. Yep. Oh.
And Aster will undo all the bindings quickly.
Thank you. And sort of, stand up and sort of stretch and the usual sort of walk. He's an old man. He has to sort of get moving. So, what's the plans, or what was discussed while I was unconscious last night? Yesterday, today, tomorrow. I don't know. I've lost track of time in this place.
You see sort of that reluctance to speak that they used to have before they push past it, and they go, well, I learned that you and the others might leave me at some point. Die.
Unfortunately, that is life. Think of it more. It may not be an ideal way, but think of it more, instead of you having to watch, eventually watch us die, you have spent your life watching us live.
Octavian with the fucking wise words. God damn. Oh,
Such a good line.
what a man.
You would see the sort of solemn look that they were sort of building, and you'd see just sort of that shine in their eye that they had when you saw them first see a servant's room in the Durst house and call it a beautiful room.
And hey, I've got kids. They're going to need someone to look after them when I'm not here.
You sure they want a monster?
They give.
Oh. Well, Esther, even if I'm no longer here, then there's still a little Lucian.
Yeah.
There's going to be a next.
Light brands aren't dead after all.
Octavian will sort of walk over to Aster and sort of, looking dead in the eye, just straight in the eye, and just go, unfortunately, you have been dealt a very unfair hand, this, not knowing your own mortality. It's not fair, it's not right. However, it is unfortunately what it is. There's always people who are going to need someone such as yourself to look after them, to help them, to guide them. He said, I would trust my family to your care.
No one would hurt them again.
Don't I know it? I'm saying, if, God forbid, something should happen before I get home to my family, and he'll sort of gesture to his tusks on his lower jaw. Just make sure they get these.
You'd see he'd give you the hunter's salute. And just calmly go, anything for my captain.
With that, he would just sort of smile and pull Aster into a hug and just thank him. All right, breakfast.
As that is occurring, I will say that there will be a comment from Dahlia. Hypothetically speaking, should they willingly accept it and you are with them at their time of death, a part of them could remain with you forever, much as I will. That is your choice and their choice.
You would see, Octavian, you would see, like, clearly, like, you know that Aster has this tendency to have, like, conversations within their own head. But you would see a little bit of that, like, solemnness and dullness, like, disappear for a moment. As, like, you would almost see, like, stars, like, in their strange eyes, just kind of, like, go up, like there may be even a possibility of something. They won't mention it exactly, but you would see, like, that both your words and something else has,
As Octavian walks past, you'd sort of brush past and whisper into his ear. Talk to me about what that was later. And he'll sort of walk past and head to the missile.
Yep. And to go meet through braids again.
He makes it very well known that he saw that, but subtly in a way that, you know, no one sort of overhears or whatnot.
I will say, as part of your long rest, the energy from this place and perhaps from the residual energies of the Spelljammer flowed into all of you, enabling you access to greater strengths, aka your level up.
Nice.
well, yes, sir, level 7.
Greed, you would probably hear during your long rest the voice of the unknown fiendish being. Your power grows, Greed, as my patience wears thin.
Understand, we're making our way. Just patience.
The hourglass is almost empty, but I will wait a little longer.
Just sink into the bath.
Yeah, Greed probably, I would imagine, after the long rest, probably had a morning bath as well, because why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Well, that is very point.
Okay.
After eating bath for Octavian.
Yeah, Misha, you would probably feel as that energy
in the morning after waking up, I would go to Dahlia's body and cast Gentle Repose and
Okay.
say my goodbyes.
That is fair. As you are doing this, perhaps with the residual energies of the room, you see a almost physical representation of your shadow standing before you. It sort of tilts its head and then just goes, "You're closer now, closer than you've ever been before. Soon you will understand the truth of what you are and what we are. I look forward to that." That
Misha?
they sink back into your shadow.
Oh.
Richard, how many baths are in this place?
Just one.
One.
Okay. Oh, okay.
You're just gonna kick the door down on Greed.
Yes, actually, I am, because it's pretty bad knocking him out. Okay, you just walk in with completely unclothed and slide into the bath and tell Greed to scooch over.
Oh, you hear the loudest scream. God damn.
I mean, I imagine you kick the door once and then it just sort of seems to almost register your intent and then just open in this case, allowing you to go in. Like, 'cause it was locked, but seemingly captain's orders.
Ah!
And splash.
Yeah. God damn it. Well, Greed's dead.
Has fainted.
Yeah. God damn it.
I'm just trying to imagine a hippo that size in a normal sized bath now.
Yeah, I'm now imagining that whilst this bath looks small in the picture, it's actually more like a hot tub sort of size or something.
Yep.
Yeah, thank God for that.
But yes, Brew Braids, when you're ready, will happily provide breakfast of whatever needs can be met. There will be alcohol, of course, that you can drink with your breakfast, should you wish.
Greed's gonna need it.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there is definitely sausage on the menu.
Oh dear. Oh, that went
Greed,
off better
are
than I
you
planned.
Okay, you look like you have seen the terrors of nature, and I don't know how to describe your face.
I'll braid Greed's hair.
You just hear this whistling echoing down the corridors from Octavian. Just
It was horrible.
However, you would have seen all the tattoos Octavian has.
Oh
And
boy.
scars.
Yeah.
Or would they notice, or would their eyes be drawn elsewhere just due to the sheer, like, horror?
Completely up to you on that one, Cam.
Greed would have had a towel covering it in the bar. Fucking shell shocked.
Oh, wine, sweet, thank you.
Greed's got a towel draped around his shoulder like he just got like pulled out of a fire.
He just... God damn it.
Just this tray with a bottle of wine and a glass floating in the water. Just, oh, thanks.
So I'm
Oh,
assuming
rubber
that you
duck.
rested well.
Unwillingly, yes. And yourself? He just has no care.
I mean, a soldier. He's
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, it was fine
military.
until now.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Well, this was ruined. Thank you very much. I'm going to go and get ready.
Oh, before you go, in the pouch on my belt, 2 good berries in there for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anytime he just sort of starts whistling, he picks up like the scrubbing brush and starts scrubbing his back.
He does his best to cover himself as he is leaving and just scrambles away.
Oh, dear. I'm sorry, Cam. I just had to. Oh, shit.
I'm gonna go into the room and get dressed again.
Yep. Well, to be fair, you'd had a bath the night before, a long soak, probably like, imagine like an hour-long soak before bed, so this was more just in the morning. Katia is sleeping in, it seems. I'm just going to say they've been through a lot themselves.
Aster will go around and check in with all the members of the division, see if there's any outstanding issues, and presuming there's nothing like crazy. I'll do my rounds, as it were.
Yeah. So most of them treat you the same way they did previously, apart from that they give you like a more formal salute. Probably the one where you would notice the biggest difference is Eshenai, who actually goes, it's Project Omega 1. Finally able to be recognized. And finally in charge. Well, good luck to you. We'll do our best to support. Gives you like a formal salute.
Yeah. Thank you for your service as always, Eshenai.
If there's anything you need to know about, I can look up in the archives. Got full permission to do that now.
I'll look through to see if there's anything of interest that we may have missed, but I presume it's a lot of what we've already learned.
Yeah, it's mostly mission records, unless you're looking for anything specific.
Could I see if there's any like missions or entries relating to anything that would have been like useful, like cross-referencing it with the Book of Strahd, and all that. Like if there's names that are familiar or
interestingly, we have done some extensive research into the shrine by the White Lake up in Kresk. It appears that whilst this is a holy place, or at least it was, it has now gained a spirit of its own that remains. We have not yet managed to identify this spirit's identity, apart from that it is male and quite well tied to this land. Further research seems that it will only respond to the right individuals, as is the case with some spirits.
Didn't it respond to Katia and Misha?
Mm-hmm.
Odd.
Actually, this is probably will be relevant. Initial instances of trying to utilize Agent Olga have proven unsuccessful. While she was not brought down to the research division itself and does not know any of our secrets, apart from a few things that the abbot would have informed them, they have been unwilling to comply and have since left the facilities and seem to be striking out with their own purpose, we will continue monitoring. We believe them have headed towards the southern part of Barovia.
Intriguing.
And that's probably the only other thing to say. You've got your hand raised, or you did?
Oh, I wanted to correct Ashinai. It's not Omega 1. It is Esther. Esther Fenris Lightbrand.
I will update the records appropriately.
Thank you, Misha.
Whilst I am updating the records, as these are the members of your party, Lord Aster, I suppose, would be appropriate, because he was Lady Dahlia. Should I enter their names as members of the research division?
They're my companions, and they succeeded at the test, I would say. Likely so. Even if they choose not to be a part in the division in perpetuity, they're at least acting members right now.
I will enter them as acting members should they wish to formalize their membership in the future, or perhaps apply to work for the main branch of the family. That record can be updated. That, of course, includes Lord Misha, who I have temporarily transferred their records to be a member of the research division rather than being identified as missing or killed in action as part of missions carried out for the main branch of the family.
Aster will provide their sort of record keeping they've kept of the adventure, like hand a book over, and say these are the events that have occurred up till now.
I will enter these into the records and make a copy for the archives should you wish to. That will not take me too long. If you give me an hour or so, I should be able to have that done.
And you'll have to
and then you can
Lady Dahlia and Experiment Sigma 9 is deceased.
That has been done. I have also categorized experiments Delta 1 and 2 as well as deceased.
Thank you as always, Ashinai.
You're welcome, Lord Aster.
And then Aster will join the rest of the party eating food.
Yep. Right, and I think... Oh, wait, sorry.
No, sorry, I forgot I hadn't muted my mic, sorry. Carry on.
I think with that, rather than trying to engage in anything major, or unless there's any like last roleplay things people wish to do here, I think that is where we shall call today's session. A little bit shorter, but next session should be a bit more active and have some more stuff happening.
More people.
Sounds good.
Yeah, works for me.
So for those watching, join us Wednesday for the second Icewind group or other Icewind group or better Icewind group, depending on your personal preference.
It's the real Icewind tracker.
Apparently. Join us Monday for the Jumping Junipers. We'll be back Tuesday. And then, of course, on Friday the 28th, we'll be back with Roll for Story in the Temporal Tower and the Icewind Trekkers on the 30th. There won't be a session this week for either of those campaigns.
Tower?
So,
Are you going
bye
to
for
the
now.
volcano? Bye.
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 Bye-bye.